Hello, everyone. Welcome to my very first episode of Let's Talk Podcast. And
Yeah.
a very first episode deserves a very special guest.
hmm
Today we have Kiara.
Yes. Thank you, Deja.
Hi, yeah.
Hello.
Okay, so on today's episode, we have
Mm.
Kiara. And our
Yes.
topic for today will be
Mm.
spirituality being the core of her work and life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
with that being said, my very first question for you is
Mm-hmm.
when did your spiritual journey begin? Were you
Mm-hmm.
always spiritual or was it like sparked by something?
Mm-hmm. I definitely think it was sparked by something. I think there's so many moments, but I think what really started to spark it was back in like 20. You remember that thing where it was like the world might end in 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in high school at that time, and I think there was like we were in 2011, and then it's like the world's gonna end 2012, and that just kind of got my brain. I think thinking about other things other than what happens on Earth. Just kind of thinking
Okay.
about more things that are in depth, and my brain never used to function like that. And then after that, I think I was more curious and more open to like other things that I had no idea existed, kind of.
Mhm.
I guess
Wow,
in a
that's
way
in
that was also like growing up, right? Growing up, but I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that
Mm.
that's what sparked your brain. I feel like when I heard that, I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever."
Right.
Like, the world's not gonna end. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I think I was kinda like, "Whoa, the world's gonna end," but then I think it just left my mind.
Yeah. Oh, I see. It left your mind. Yeah. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
think
kind of absorbed it. I don't know.
so.
Mm.
After that, like, opened your mind, like, what things that you were thinking about?
So I was, oh my gosh, I was thinking about like everything just became clear. Like I started like
Mhm.
seeing like when people would walk around, I was more in tuned about that. Like when people walk
Mhm.
past you in the hallway or outside, you just like I just never really thought too much about it. I don't really have a lot of memories until that day. And then I just started
Mhm.
like realizing things more and realizing the people around, and like I was like taking having more deeper moments, being like, oh, look at all of us in the library right now, these selected people are here. And then like I'd never used to have these thoughts, so I was just more very very curious after that moment.
Yeah,
um
that's very cool. I know, like, when my spiritual journey was sparked, I always had this thought still, like, "What was I thinking about prior to this?" Like,
yeah,
what was, like, on my mind prior to,
right.
like, my spiritual journey? It's really interesting that the 2012 thing sparked your spiritual journey. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So, as far as like your spiritual journey now, where would you say that you are in it? Like, how has it like obviously progressed from like then to like now?
Right. Oh, I definitely am able to kind of just walk around and have deeper understandings. Like I don't feel there's always like a timeline where it's like, okay, you learn something, then you kind of have to learn it from somebody else who's been doing it for a long time, and then you put it to action. And like there's a set of
Mhm.
there's a timeline to everything. But now I feel like I can just kind of you see me too, like I work a lot with crocheting and stuff, and
Mhm.
I try to manage my time, and I can be doing all this hectic stuff but then still be very solid at my core, which I think is very very important. But it's a lot of hard work to have that during this life.
Yeah, but I think it's also very vital, you know.
Mhm.
So what is it that you do for like work or like your craft?
Yeah. So the craft that I'm doing now is just anything really creative. I kind of was into making those like little carpets, and then that
Mhm.
turned more into like just crocheting, which was a hobby that I've been doing for years, but for some reason I can now actually make things, whereas before
Mhm.
I could only like make squares. So I don't know what happened there. But so some crocheting, some knitting, and then um what else? I think that's my main focus right now. And probably go back to writing maybe after I read these books that I got these past few
Nice.
days. No, I actually no. So like I got it delivered here because I'm also trying to like manage my time better and like not be heading because I'm in the East End, so I don't want to be like hauling to the West End just to pick up one or two things. So I got this book that you recommended me, and I have it in my hand right
Mhm.
now because it came today. It's so exciting.
Nice.
And it's like Only Love is Real, a story of soulmates
Yeah.
reunited. Brian, I'm not sure how to spell his name. Say his name.
I think
Wissm
it's
Pataki.
Wise, maybe?
Okay, okay, Wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
book. I actually love books like this because of the size, easy read. So
Mhm.
it's super.
Yeah, it is very much easy read, and it's, like, such a page turner, like, I didn't wanna put it
Yes.
down, and I would think it's like a romance novel. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
it is a romance novel, but it's touching on, like, the psychological side of
Yes.
it and, like, spiritual side of it, and I think it's
Yes.
so interesting.
Yes.
So
It's
I really
definitely
feel like
about
you'll
life.
like it.
And that's what and I like books like cuz I read chapter 1. Chapter 1's only one page, but I like books that are like kind of sharing me something, not really
Mhm.
telling me something that I already might know. You know, I always like to like learn something new. Even if I know about it, I like to learn a bit
Yeah.
more about it, and I feel like this book is really going to just give me more wisdom basically. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some gems in there.
Mm. Thank
Yeah,
you
it's a
so
really
much
good
for
read.
recommending. I really was looking for like books to read. So from the bottom of my heart,
Yeah,
thank you
no
so much.
problem. I love when people recommend me books, so I will always return the favor, like, pay
Ah,
it forward.
perfect.
So, is community.tm one of your focuses still, or are you taking, like, a little
It's definitely
back from it? Or
Yeah, it's definitely my focus. I know that even when I'm doing crocheting or whatever I'm doing, I know that community work fulfills me. Like it's more
Mhm,
wholesome work. Whereas, you know, doing other things like crocheting, it can lead to, you know, no, it's just like kind of a grind. And it's like that comes with its own stuff. And, you know, like a lot of people are crocheting right now. So I just, but community is always like, you could say my number one, but I have to
mhm,
be realistic and in the terms of like I need to make sure that I can be having money coming in so that I
mhm,
can fuel community. And in order to do
mhm.
that, I have to do like X, Y, and Z, which is crocheting or even like my job that I have outside. I work at a small business and it's called Kids at Home. It's like kids furniture, but like kind of
Oh,
more
that's
modern
cool.
furniture. So it's pretty nice because I love kids
That's
too.
cool.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
would like for you to speak on community because I know, like, there's people who know about it, but I'm sure, like, not everyone knows about it. So could you
Hmm.
touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I started this community in 2019 and I started it because I wanted to share was what I was what I have learned so far with life, and I wanted to share it in a way that wasn't just about me, you know, sitting in front of everybody and telling people what to do. I wanted to be like, okay, like I'm going to bring this, but I want us to also come together and accept each other and, you know, work on ourselves and relax, meditate and just have a good time to be ourselves because I feel like it's a good space to have that even when you're older, when you're younger. It's a good space to have time to be yourself and not worry about am I being enough or doing enough. It's just kind of you do what you want when you come to community. You talk to me and I'll probably be down to do it. So we're just
Mhm.
making a space to have free movement, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. I'm so happy that I came across, like, your page when I did. I feel
Mhm.
like that's when it was, like, first starting out to, like,
Yeah.
follow the journey throughout and even now, and you definitely helped me, like, start like, those things you wanna start doing, but, like, they're not yet, so you kinda have a hard time
Right.
continuing on with it. Nowadays, like, I'm not on my phone when I wake, but
Mhm.
back then when I was, like, I would be on Instagram and I would see your little 5-minute meditation post, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wait, let me stop." I was definitely looking forward to your 5-minute meditations because you have such a, like, calming voice, and they're just always so, like, refreshing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all for community.
Aw, thank you, Deja. But that's what I try to do also. Like, I really try to tune in. Like, even if it's for 5 minutes, I really want to be like, I'm gonna kind of be. this life force, and I'm gonna like bring it to you guys so that we can I can really give people what I've learned. Like I'm not trying to like sugarcoat anything, you know. So I'm gonna try
Mhm.
to work more on community, but like even now I'm actually on a 2 week break from crocheting,
Mhm.
and so this is time for me to just have me time, and then the only thing that I'm able to do right now is community based work. So that's great.
Yeah. I think that's good, like, scheduling out time where you need breaks because when you constantly do something, I know for me, like, when I'm constantly doing something,
Mhm.
um, I wouldn't say the inspiration goes away, but, like, kind of to the point where I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this right now." So it's just good to take breaks from things when so that you can just, like, get that break, number 1, and you just get more inspo. Like, do you feel like that?
Oh, 100%. That's why I had to stop crocheting right now because I'm literally like, Deja, you know, because you are part of the crochet world with me. But
Yeah.
like like sometimes I'm literally just like doing the stitch and I'm just losing everything that is giving me life. So yeah, I definitely like lose that kind of sense of inspiration, especially when I continuously do something. So recently I was
Mhm.
making balaclavas, right? And I was
Mhm.
making so many, I started getting tired of doing it. I started getting tired of hearing the word and everything. But don't nobody take advice of me right now because I'm in also the learning stage right now where the other book that I just previously bought was it's gonna help me. It's called The War is Love, I think. War no the War of Art. War of Art. And
The
it's
War of
gonna
Art, I've heard of that.
yeah, have you? And my cousin, he recommended the book to me, and he's also kind of in that creative world. And so I think it's going to help me with my creativity and kind of like find a way to just kind of ground me down a bit because I'm the type of creative
Mhm.
person that I'm like I have to do one of one thing because I have so much like creative power making me just like come up with all these
Mhm.
ideas, you know? So it's like I can't focus on just like one task or one idea. I always like doing the most. So I think it's going to help ground me.
I feel the same exact way as far as, like, my creative outlets. Part of me used to feel like, "Okay, I have to hone in on one thing," because people will say, like, you can't be, like, the jack of all trades or whatever, but,
Right.
are you familiar with, human design?
No. Is it a book?
Uh, it's not. So it's like so, are you familiar with, like, birth charts, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so it's like something like that, but it, like, goes more in depth of, like oh, it's a lot. So, it's a whole lot, but one thing that I've learned is that, like so after I put all my information in there, is that I'm a manifesting generator, and so, like, a trait of a manifesting generator is, like, I'm not supposed to be doing one thing, like, I have all
Right.
these, like, creative outlets and ideas for a reason, and that's just how I operate, like, I can multitask and I can do a lot more things where other people might not be like that, you know?
Right.
So, it's funny that you say that, like, you have to do the most because, like, maybe she should do her human design chart and see what she gets
I
because
wrote
you
it
just
down.
might
I'm
be a
gonna do it.
manifesting generator.
Feel like I could be, you want to know, because I'm always like I used to manifest and it used to come like literally within the day. And I'm not sure if that's
Mhm.
directly what it like the manifester is, but uh so it came to the point where I just kind of kept the manifestations kind of at the back of my head a little bit so that it wasn't always
Mhm.
on my brain because I feel like I also have to just enjoy life, and that's what I also come back spiritually to. When there's too much going on, whatever it is, I like to come back and be calm and relaxing because that's like where I feel is a good place to be versus buzzing in my head about any which thing. And yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So maybe I'll take a look. I feel like I could be that manifesting for sure. But it's not a bad
Yeah.
thing. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing when, like, people I mean, if you know you have a lot of if you know you're just, like a creative being, I feel like you should just create because that's what your soul wants to do, you know?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, those breaks that we get or that we take are just so vital. Like you said, when things are just going, 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 and you're just thinking about something, it's like, you do, but you kind of like don't check in with yourself as often. And so like
Right.
when you're able to take those breaks, you're able to come back to yourself and like process what was just going on for like that time period.
Exactly. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
literally like you're in a river and you just go and then the river goes down, then the river you turn to mist. Like the journey never stops. So sometimes it's nice to like, you know, go onto the land and just sit there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing right now.
That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. I like that. I used to always think like when nothing's happening, there was something wrong, but then I
Mm.
just pretty much got the download to just, like, enjoy the middle, you know, because like, there's always
Mhm.
gonna be, like, that high, and there's always gonna be lows, but, like, that in between time that you get to, like, yourself or when there's, like, a pause, you should really enjoy it because the momentum's gonna
Mhm.
come back again, and then, like, you're just gonna be, like, running around like a chicken with your head cut off,
Oh my
so it's
god.
just like
I don't want to run around like a chicken anymore, Deja.
I feel the same exact way. Oh, yeah. It's good that you're taking a break, I like that.
Yeah.
Um So as far as like crocheting, and community, what are some intentions that you have for them this year?
Yeah, so it's funny because with community, right? It started to take
Mhm.
form where I feel like there's like kind of like a machine working with community in the terms that like I feel like when I approach community, like the energy that I feel from community work and doing that, I feel like it's testing me at the same time. It's like,
Mhm.
are you like doing okay? Like this is we're trying like it try to calm me down as well. So I feel like my intention is to just continue to have community be and change how it is meant to, and still create um these new experiences that I'm yet to think of it to become. I really feel like with community, my intention is just the intention I have is just to have people be more like, first of all, receiving more meditations but from me. That's my intention
Mhm.
for sure. But I really want to also just let people also, I guess, realize that, sometimes in life, even some businesses or companies or this community that I've created, it has a down period, and the down period is caused and from a deeper reason than I can probably convey, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's good to kind of have this understanding of the right time, right? So like mass production and all that stuff is not really what I'm trying to give in community. It's really like a lot of true energy, and if uh the community wants to flow this way, then that's what it's going to be meant to be. So I think it's more taking community on a more natural, grounded level. I guess in a way
Mhm.
spiritual, but not really spiritual. It's just kind of learning that one essence about life. Just, when things go down, things go down. When things go up, they go up. And
Mhm.
for my crocheting, I definitely want to um I'm not 100% sure. My intention is kind of just to have fun, and I really like making TikToks. Those are kind of interesting. Um I'm not sure how long I'll probably be wanting to do it, because how my crochet started was just I thought crocheting was really cool, and I didn't want to keep all the stuff I was making. So then I started to sell it, right? Um, but if
Mhm.
I don't want to make it anymore, then I guess that'll be over. But my intention is just to kind of have fun with TikTok right now and work on making the tutorials. Those are really cool too.
I'm not a part of TikTok culture yet, but a lot of people are telling me that I should because of like what I do
Mhm.
and probably, boost my social media where I
Mhm.
am. I'm just like I really want to get rid of social media altogether, so I don't want
Yes.
to add something else, you know? But like I hear a lot of people talk about TikTok and I'm just like, yeah, it sounds interesting, but do
Yeah.
I really want to download another app? I don't
But
think
you know,
so, you know?
Deja, from my perspective, and honestly and truthfully, I thought of this too for you, right? But
Mhm.
I truly, and I want everybody to hear this, I truly think that you are literally so talented. Like, I mean, like, what you make is of a high standard. Like, that's what I
Oh, wow, thank
truly think.
you.
And I think that you have things, from my perspective, you have what I feel like I don't have in terms of like, with your crocheting, even. Like, you come up with, I see the vibe that you have with crocheting, right? And I really
Mhm.
admire that because, mine's all over the place. I have all types of colors of yarn, all types of yarn that don't match this. You know what I mean? Your stuff is really sick, and I don't even know how you do it, but like it turns out really amazing. Like, it's just outstanding, really, truly.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like my process is just very weird. It's kind of like how it is when I paint. So like when I paint, and this is literally the same thing when I crochet, like it'll start off as something and then it'll
Mhm.
go somewhere else and then there's a finished product, you know? Like I'm not really
Oh,
like
really?
planning. Yeah, like I'm not really like planning to do
Right.
whatever it ends up to be sometimes. Like the red
Yeah.
bodysuit that I had currently made, that was supposed to be like just a little, tube top at one point, and then it turned into a bodysuit,
Right.
and then there was a
No
sleeve, and I was like,
way.
okay, yeah, like
I know that you made those green pants, even the long green pants.
hmm
And how do you like, what do you feel? What are you thinking when you're making that? I'm very curious.
Well, I started crocheting, very funny. So
Mhm.
I was taking a financial literacy class in high school, and my financial literacy teacher was also the fashion teacher, and she hated financial literacy, so she kind of taught us fashion. And so, like, I learned to crochet in high school in my financial literacy class when I was supposed to be learning
No.
financial
Oh
literacy.
my god.
At first, I was just making like scarves and stuff, and like that was cool. But then I was just like, kind of want to crochet everything in my wardrobe. Oh,
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah.
yeah, so when I'm making it, I'm just first of all, just like an active meditation where I'm just like focused and like you kind of
Mhm.
get in a trance when you do it. And then like the second thing I'm thinking is just like I can't wait to wear my creation. It's just gonna feel good to like
Mhm.
be a creative and just like wear your creation.
No, seriously. That's a,
Yeah.
and I know you also, obviously summarized it, but that's a beautiful story. I would have never known that. But like, I feel like your patience level, and this is just because of what I believe, I think your patience level is much better or higher than a lot of people, and including myself, because I feel like your hair, to me, that takes a
Yeah.
lot of patience as well.
Yeah. A lot of different people have different reasons for why they get dreads, but like
Mhm.
my main reason was just that I could become more carefree because
Mhm.
like, when I had my natural hair, like, I enjoyed my natural hair because I just wore my, like, curly fro, and, like, I love my hair in any state, you know? But when
Yes,
I
yes.
got dreads, I just felt called to that. One thing that they really taught me was that, like, dreads are gonna be anything but kept, you know? A
Mhm.
lot of people, they do a lot to, like, keep their hair retwisted and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but, like, I don't really care too much when it comes to that. Like, I like to retwist with the seasons. So I
Mhm.
wash my hair often, but I hair often. And like in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, like my hair, my flyaways, blah blah blah. And then as as time went on, I'm just like, dude, you have dreads. Like your hair is never gonna be like that's one thing that I love about them, especially people who like freeform their locks. I
Yeah,
love that because it's just like
yeah.
you're just
I'm
going
starting to
literally with
freeform.
oh my
Yeah.
God, I think that's so cool. Like freeform
Mhm.
locks. If I were to ever cut my hair, I think like the second time around, I would
Mhm.
probably freeform. But I just feel like I'm probably never gonna cut my hair, and I'm gonna be like one of those old ladies with dreads all the way down to my ankles.
Right on.
Yeah.
I hope to meet you there one day. That'd be sick.
I am excited for your freeform journey. That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
For me, it's just I want I wanted dreads. I've had like many sets too. Even like in the beginning of community, I had
Mhm.
a pair and then I cut my hair and stuff. Or I took it out and then I had like three in the back of my head and then I cut my hair. But I'm redoing it because for me, dreads have always been like um I feel like it just works for me and my lifestyle, and like I never was
Mhm.
the one to do like up to a certain point I never was the one to do too many like hairstyles or anything like that, and I just love dreads, and I feel like anytime that I get them I feel really nice. But my only problem is in the environment where I live. I feel like there's not a lot of people with the dreadlocks or the free form, and I feel
Mhm.
very like, you know, I feel a little I feel like I'm the person that thinks I'm living on a beach and everybody's like in the city. So it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. So that's my problem. But I'm working on it, and I'm just now I'm back again free forming anyways, so
Yeah, I think if
mhm.
you feel called to do that, then you should do that, and
Yeah.
I feel like people, they'll just have to get used to it, because people just have to
Mhm.
accept you as you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for your freeform journey.
Yes. Thank you, Deja. They're coming together.
No
They're actually like
problem.
doing their thing right now, so really
So,
happy.
as far as like your spiritual journey now, what
Mhm.
is something that you're currently unlearning?
Oh, I'm definitely trying to unlearn the idea of a busy lifestyle, or like kind of jumbling up life, like doing too much. I think that's my biggest thing right now because I feel like when I also had a moment in my life where it was just pure like spiritual work. Like that's all I did. I wasn't going to school. I was at home all the time. All my family members were like out doing work, doing school. I was like at home, just like talking with the sun, being with the sun, like anything like that, right? So to after all of that, I kind of wanted to be more of like, part of society and do the job thing. And now that I have gotten that, and now that I'm working hard and doing my own things, I realize yes, hard work pays off, and that's what I'm also striving to do. But it's also about not. I really want to unlearn this whole this clutter of life. I want to like. I don't want to be doing a lot of things because it
Mhm.
does take a toll on the mental like wellness. And even if you're achieving big things, like, say I'm working so hard and I've received a Grammy, I still don't think it's worth the mental health aspect of it, because I'm a type of person that like I never really had a lot of like mental health um struggles. And
Mhm.
working hard, being more busy, literally like my days off I'm doing something. So it's like gotten to that point where I feel like I'm trying to unlearn that. Like I really wanted to be busy and I really wanted to be do work and be part of society, which in ways I still do, but I just want to kind of tone it down a little bit and unlearn that that's the way that I should try to put myself in the experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm also in that phase, and I really feel like the lockdown kinda did that to, like, not only me, but, like, a lot of people,
Mhm.
just because, like, when we were all on lockdown, we were all basically doing nothing, and
Yes, that's
I
true.
just started, just started to, like, get back into, like, society and do the whole job thing, and it just, like, put a perspective on a lot of things because I realized that, like, there's, like, this grind culture, that everyone's, like,
Mhm.
glorifying, that you always
Yeah,
gotta be, hustling, or you
yes,
always gotta be doing, you always gotta be busy, 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 but
exactly.
it's just, like, there's also a time for, like, you not being productive because if you're going, 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 you're just gonna burn out eventually, and, as far as, like, the lockdown and, like, people just getting time to themselves to, like,
Yeah.
think,
Mhm.
nowadays it's so easy for me to be like, this doesn't really resonate with me and I can stop, or I don't have to do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Right.
have to do this if I don't want to, and one thing that I've really been big on now is that, like, I really value time over money. Like,
Oh, yeah.
um, one of my coworkers, very funny enough. So like I'm the type of person to take a lot of days off of work because I don't really care, you know. I just don't really feel like, you know, that I want to, especially like when I feel like I have a sense of where I'm going. I don't feel like I want to be working so much towards someone else's dream. Like I'm grateful that I have a job, you know, but
Right on.
like I want to have my time to work towards my dream, you know, and I
Mhm.
felt like my job was taking up too much of my time. So I come back to work one day and my coworker, he goes like, oh yeah, hey, we haven't seen you in 3 or 4 days. And I'm like, yeah, so, and then they're like, where were you? Were you on vacation or something? And I'm like, no, I was just at home, you know, relaxing. And then like that also got me thinking about like when you're not at work, people are like expecting you to be on vacation or something. Like you're not allowed to
Right.
just like not do, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing he said, he was just like, "Oh, are you not worried about money?" And I was like, "No, I'm never worried about money because money is not my motivation, you know? Like
Mhm.
if I was motivated by money, I would just be dragging myself into the ground, like
Yeah.
doing everything that I can for some money, you know? Like
Mm.
I honestly feel like people who are motivated by money are like some of the most questionable people because they do anything for money.
Right on. Yeah,
But
that's true.
as far as just like my personal journey, I feel like I'm always financially supported spiritually, you know? So,
Yeah.
um like even if I was to take time off of work, you know, things just have a way of like working
Oh, for
itself out in
sure.
my life, you know? I
Honestly.
just really value my time over money.
Mhm.
Like I really much rather either be doing something that resonates with me or much rather just be working towards my dream, you know, that I so that I can bring it to life.
100%.
Um,
And this is what I was also wanting to talk about too, was just like not being able to relate to, the same course of our journey as others is sometimes healthy. Like because you're
yeah,
saying how his perception, is, or their perception is to, how are you going to make money if you don't come to work, right? Granted, but as you, and you can manifest and you can attract and you have all these other, internal, these powers, basically, you can bring those to light, and they come to you, as they do to me as well, right? Like, people would
mhm.
not believe some of the circumstances that I've been like. I remember even like when, because I wasn't working a lot, but when I would get like $60, it was like I knew had to also make it last, and then money was coming to me. People were asking me to like babysit, like things that you can't really like, you know write down on paper, okay, this is going to happen or whatever, but like you can attract it and manifest it. And I think that's what me and you and other people I know for sure can understand. But it's there's a lot of people who think everybody is on the same journey, and so they get shocked to hear anything different, right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely the shocker at my job. And
Mhm.
like as far as like what you were saying, like, making money stretch or like manifesting things, I feel like when you're in tune like with the universe and everything, when you take those leaps of faith and
Mhm.
you're like aligned, like things just come to you, you know, or like you're
Mhm.
always going to be like supported by the universe.
Yes.
So like when I'm like, okay, I know I need to take a step back from work so that I can work on my dream.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, taken care of in a way, you know. Like
Yes.
granted I still have to do like, you know, like I can't just like sit back and be like, "Oh yeah, everything's going to happen for me," but like, you know,
Yeah. And like I've had instances where like I found like well, in two different days, like many years apart, I found like $100 bills on the ground, like underneath my chair. And then found another one on my street, and the only reason why I saw that one on my street is because the bus driver got off at, like, I pulled the stop requested on the bus, but the bus driver missed my stop. So then I had to take another route to my house at nighttime, right? And I'm walking down the other
mhm.
side of my street, and then another $100, right? And I feel like but obviously there was a reason and intention for, I guess, why I manifested those at that time. It wasn't necessarily to like
Yeah.
fill my own pocket. I know that I one time said, if I ever find another $100 on the ground, I'm gonna give it to my mom. And so when I found the second one, I just like ran to my mom and I was like, here you go. But it's like you never, like, there's a bigger thing to life than what is. And if,
Mhm.
as you said, if we in tune, if we align, if we give ourselves some time away from work and away from the things that are pulling our attention from the internal world, then we'll definitely we'll all be surprised with what could happen if we just live more from
Definitely.
within. Mhm.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of people don't trust themselves, you know? Personally, in my life, I know, like, those times when I have taken those leaps of faith where I literally did not know what the heck was
Yeah.
gonna happen after I jumped is
Mhm.
when, like, miracles literally happen, you know? But I feel
Yeah.
like you have to be willing to take those leaps of faith or you're
Mhm.
never gonna find out, and I feel like those people who don't, that's why they're kinda, like, on the edge of, like, not really believing because it's just, like, that hasn't happened for them, but it's like, but if
Yeah.
you don't, it will never happen for you, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, you just have to be willing.
It's literally like a game, like as you said, like if you took a leap of faith, literally you jumped. And like that's just part of life though. Like if you're not taking any leaps, take you have no faith and you're just continuous to go, that's like gonna get draining after a while, right? But like even now as you say it, like if I know that I probably need to take some more risk with crocheting and do take more leaps of faith and don't get caught in doing the same thing, because then that's when
Mhm.
it gets draining and stuff. But yeah, sometimes we just need to, like, there's like codes like a game in order for you to survive on the
Yeah,
island, to get some wood to build a house. It's like the same, you need to take risk in order to get to this stage of your life.
definitely. So, how do you ensure that, like, spirituality is at the core of everything that you do?
Right. I definitely feel like I have to just, like, besides from it just being naturally within me, so it's not something that I have to per se force every morning rising, but I
Mhm.
definitely want to, like, I definitely make sure that I don't get caught up in, like, which to me are like illusions. Like I don't want to get caught up in, like, when I go outside I'm trying to, like, wear this mask that, like, oh, this is how I want people to view me, like in terms of like my status, or this is how, like, I don't want to put into too much acting or illusions as to, like, who I am as a person. I kind of just wake up and who I am is what the world's going to get, and how I do that is just being,
Mhm.
like, true to myself. Even when I'm at work, actually there's this TikTok, and it's about changing your voice when you're at work, right? To be
Mhm.
better understood from the clients or something like that. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I don't really change my voice for anybody, um because if I change my voice for somebody, then what am I doing to myself? Like, who am I then to, for myself? I know
Mhm.
at some circumstances it's different and it's a bigger thing, but I just realized that I really, like, who I am is who everybody gets. And I think
Yeah.
that's how I make sure that my spirituality is, that's how it stays ignited through me throughout the days and stuff like that. It's just I stay true to who I am. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's a gem because, like, I feel like you have to have that, internal compass in order
Hmm.
to stay true to yourself. Because if
Hmm.
you lack it, like, you definitely can be led astray or you can just turn into something that you're not. And, like, I think I read a post about, like, what you were talking, like, changing your voice, which is like code switching pretty
Yes, yeah,
much.
yeah.
Um, and, like, I said the same exact thing pretty much where I was just like, if I have to code switch in any environment, I'm probably not supposed to be there because that's not
Hmm.
the real me, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think that is interesting.
Yeah, now that I have my, locks kind of doing their own thing, I like to wear scarves at this stage, and it's just so
Mhm.
that it's comfortable. I just like wearing it, so I go outside. But I know people view me as like, oh, like they want to ask me like where I was born, which I was born where I am right now. But I'm saying, like, people might think I'm born
Mhm.
from like another country and so on and so forth. And I feel like
Yeah.
people, like as a world, we really need to start like implementing different ways of understanding the world, because like I'm not saying that they should know exactly my story, but it's just kind of being a little bit more open minded, that just because I look different than how like I guess majority or most people look here, that doesn't mean that I have to come from a different country. Why can't that just be I'm on my own journey? I do my, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like
Mhm.
the world would be so much different, and if it was just a little bit more open minded as to not questioning where people are from, but like more so questioning like what's their journey.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
feel like generations definitely play a part in that because,
Hmm.
the older generations are kind of like stuck in their ways in a way, or they have like
Hmm.
this certain mindset. But like, I feel like what you're saying, like, we're slowly but surely turning towards, like where people are
Hmm.
just like more open and just like having more, instead of like, why does this person look like this? It's just like,
Hmm.
oh, this person's like different and they're like on this different, you know what I'm saying? Like people are
Yeah,
like in our generation are kind of like, more open to like differences.
for sure, for sure.
Um but yeah, that is another like as far as like my dreads, like that is another reason why I got them is because there's like a stigma around them.
Hmm.
And then when people talk to me, like they're just so taken aback because like I speak proper and like I'm just
Wow.
really nice, like I'm really genuine. I've noticed that like people are really like surprised by who they get, and they're just like, "Wow, you're
Hmm.
like actually a pleasant person." And I'm like, "Yeah, those people exist, just because
Wow.
like that's just like judging a book by its cover."
Oh,
And
100%.
yeah, I feel like it's a little
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm definitely interested to hear how people react to you once your free forms start to like become like longer and everything.
Yeah. I think honestly that's interesting. That's like for sure one thing that definitely is going to happen when you have dreads, right? I feel like when people in the past have responded to me, it's more just like, where are you from?
Yeah.
They just can't believe that like I'm from Canada and like, the cold and stuff. Um
Mhm.
but I know the stigma that you're talking about, but yeah, I just, and then cuz there are some people down here, I think there's a small community down here who like, it's like the people, they have dreadlocks and they just walk around, they're very peaceful, and they're always seems like they're, rocking to the music, the sway of life. And I think I would fall in
Mhm.
that category, but yeah. So, but I'll let you know how
Yeah.
how I'm treated with the free form. Hopefully we'll see.
Hopefully people take to you good. I mean, like I'm not familiar with like how people are in Canada, but
Yeah.
hopefully like I would think that they would take to you well. What I will say is like since having dreads, like the lock community is so amazing. Like I've made so many friends just off of my hair alone. It's not even
Wow.
funny. Like I'll be in the grocery store and people are like, "Hey, I like your hair," and I'm like, "Thanks." And it'll be like
Really?
someone who had just started their dreads, and they're like, I can't wait till I'm at that phase. What do you do? Like, like you just like
Yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
conversation. Like, it's just so like that's one of the things that have really been pleasant is like the lock community is really the lock community no matter where you go. Like, you see
Wow.
someone with locks, like it's almost like they're always going to talk to you, and y'all are always going to just be talking, like have something in common, and it's so like
Right.
it's actually pretty nice.
Aw. No, yeah, Canada is like, there's a law community, but Canada, I don't know. Where I'm from is very like, my mom was explaining it perfectly. She's like, they'll talk to you if they know you or want something from you. That's where I live right now.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
okay,
I live in like the city,
yeah.
so I feel like that interaction is going to be very rare. I'm the type of person who like, cuz I actually just got a recent tattoo too, and it's of like
Hmm.
this woman's kind of face that my sister kind of mocked up for me, and then it's like the dreadlocks, the free form. And it's just because every time I see someone with dreadlocks outside, even if they're across the street, I am like I feel it, like I get back into alignment like almost right away. So I feel like,
Nice.
yeah, so I feel like I had to get it done so that I always feel like, and it's also a big representation of me as well. I feel like people can understand me more when I have my locks and my hair is doing a bunch of things. So yeah, it's just
Mhm.
these a bunch of stuff I'm just trying to bring back in always to make sure that I'm spiritually aligned. I always make sure that I
Yeah.
do that.
So, when do you feel closer to spirit?
Mm,
Wait, first of all, before I ask that question, so,
mhm,
like, people talk about God and, like, because like,
mhm,
there's, like, when you said the word God, there's, like, one image that usually comes to, like, the average person's mind. So, like,
mhm.
how would you define God first? Before I ask you, like, when do you feel closest to spirit? Like,
Right.
how would you describe God in your own, like, experience in your own words?
Yeah, that's actually a great question because I have a very, I don't know if it's too cartoon Looney Tune version of God, because there was actually a guy on the bus. He's a dready too, older man. And this is when I was in my other town. So it was more peaceful down there. Kind of felt like cottage town, big lake. And we were on
Mhm.
the bus, not a lot of people. And so he was like, "Oh, you should watch this movie." Cuz I saw him a few times on the bus. We always take the same route. Then he goes, "Oh, you should like watch this movie." And I said, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." I write it down. I don't really ever sometimes go check it out, but I was like, "Okay, let me just check this out." It was Noah's Ark or something. The movie or something. And it was in cartoon, but it was, from that night after I watched that movie, I started to hear God's voice. So whatever energy it is, that's my version of it. And so
Mhm.
kind of that's how I interpret God. It's not necessarily I don't necessarily see a body, I don't necessarily see a color, but I definitely get the guidance from a voice.
I totally agree. I have this conversation a lot with people and I feel like God was made into like a human just because people couldn't relate to it any other way.
Mhm.
But when I think of God, I don't think of like a human, I don't think of anything
Mhm.
in the physical form. And I feel
Mhm.
like it's easier that way if you think about it because then you're not
Yes,
fighting over, oh, like my God's better than yours,
exactly.
when
Yep.
essentially
Mhm.
the message is all the same in most cases. So
Mhm. And
yeah,
that's why I took it and ran with it, because I was like, I really like the vibes right now. Like I don't feel like it's deteriorating me or gonna cause me to, have a harsh conversation with somebody else the way that I perceive God, or the way that it kind of just popped up in my life, right? It's not
yeah,
based on like
yeah.
color, race, size, anything like that. It's just like the voice I hear, the
It's
guidance
just
I
like
receive.
omnipresent.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that. I like that is just like it's just an energy, if you will. Like it's
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
necessarily anything physical.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when do you feel the closest to spirit or God or, the
Mhm.
universe or the higher power?
Yeah. There's definitely, I feel like recently I feel the closest when like something I'm really asking for. And then, it takes a lot of work and time and days to manifest. And once it happens, I like go in my own little area, wherever it be, the washroom, and I do like a dance that like I know is igniting all of life, and all of life is watching me do it. And I'm just like giving my thanks for having it be created and having it manifest. And I think that's when I feel the closest these days, is when I get to do that, um that have that experience. Yeah.
That's nice.
Mm.
Yeah, that's really nice. because it's like you're co-creating with the universe, and it's just like
Mhm.
I think that's like honestly one of the coolest things, just to know that like we that's like your confirmation that you're really connected to spirit, you know,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
when you can bring whatever it is that you're wanting into the physical realm, you know.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I
And I
think that's
love
one of
to
the
know that
coolest.
they still see me, like, that that their eyes are on me. Like I like to know that, all is good. Everybody is doing
Mhm.
all right and we're all chilling and just like, never truly feeling alone, I guess. Like
Mhm.
just celebrating internally. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole alone thing is big because I remember I
Mhm.
remember I asked you about like your spiritual awakening. Mine
Mhm.
was sparked by one of my I'm not sure if you partake in like psychedelics, but
Mhm.
um
No, I haven't.
one of my so one of my acid trips actually like sparked it.
Mhm.
So, like, I've taken it twice with, like, a friend, and then the 3rd time I took it by myself, and that's just been, like, everything, like, the entire world just, like,
Oh
opened
my
up for
god.
me, right? And,
Oh my.
like, the alone thing is so funny that you say that because, like, prior to that trip, I
Mhm.
used to always say, like, "I'm just so alone in this life," you know, like, I don't really have
Mhm.
anybody that I really, like, trust or that I really, like, feel like I can
Mhm.
turn to, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, right? And so, like,
Mhm.
that day when the entire world opened up, it was pretty much like the universe saying, "If you don't stop saying that you're alone,
Right.
because hello, I'm right here," you
Yeah.
know? And it was just like
Yeah.
I was just crying tears of joy that whole day because it was just like I was
Aw.
receiving, like I literally felt like the universe was just like literally hugging me. Like that's
Yeah.
what I like. I don't really know how to explain that
No, no,
feeling, you
I
know? Like you
understand. I
just
understand what you're
feel
saying.
yeah, and so, like, from that day forward, I was just like for me to say that I'm alone is just like a slap in the face to, like, all my angels and my spirit
Right.
guides because they're literally, like, here, like, all the like, you might not be able to see them,
Exactly.
but, like, they're literally here all the
Yep.
time, like, rooting for
Mhm.
you, there to help you, they're just, like, there
Mhm.
watching over you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, ever since then, I never say, like, "Oh, I'm alone," like, in this life
Yeah.
because I know that I'm not, you know, and, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
so funny because I know what you're talking about. Like I know that energy. Then that's why every time like I walk outside, I do like a hi to the trees. Like I know what's going on. And so I
E
just feel like, I just gotta respond to who's there, and like to to
exactly.
to people who may not understand per se right now, you like don't think I'm like wild in my head. Like this is actually just like it's just life. Everything has life and energy and all
Everything
that
is
stuff.
alive, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
everything is alive.
Mhm.
Everything is definitely alive. Everything is like breathing, living creatures. We even if
Mhm.
there is just like people think like nature is just like still, like, you know, no, it's
Mhm.
still alive, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing like with meditation for me, most of my viewings or most of my realizations towards how you were saying like you realized you were being hugged by nature, a lot of that of me seeing that was from my meditations.
I've always, like, felt that energy, like, I didn't feel it on I haven't never felt it on that scale of that day, but, like, I always feel that anytime I'm just, like, out deep in the woods, and that's why I feel like I'm just
Mhm.
drawn to nature so much because, like,
Right.
it doesn't speak, but, like, you feel everything, like, you know, the
Yeah.
energy just speaks volumes for itself, and that's why I just love it so much because,
Mhm.
like, it's just so quiet out there and you're just able to really, like, tune in, you know?
Yes. And it's just stunning, absolutely. Mhm.
Man, nature is so amazing.
Mhm.
I don't really know how to describe it, like, I came out of the womb with a green thumb, and it was just like, I'm just supposed to be
Yeah.
with these guys in this lifetime. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Anything that I'm
Mhm.
doing, it should always involve nature, and I feel
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm just very connected to the greenery.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming and being the first guest on my show.
Yay. Thank
We
you,
had a
honestly.
really good talk.
Mhm.
Yeah, no problem, anytime. I'm always down to have you as a guest on my show because I really
Yes.
support everything that you're doing, and I
Me too
support
for
your
you.
podcast.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
But I do have some closing cues for all of
Mhm.
my guests. So here we go. What inspires you the most?
Mm. What inspires me the most? Um, I definitely think mm, I what's coming to my mind is I think people do. Just because people you can see a lot of movement and I get inspired by a lot of things that just like the movement of people. I think that like when I'm looking at people walking around, I think that's what inspires me the most. How people style things because I
Mhm.
realize that
Just
there's
like
a lot.
individuality.
Yes, individuality because I realize that a lot of people are different than me and a lot of people function different than me. So I think people would be my answer right now. How they go about their own ways of being that kind of inspires me.
Nice, nice.
Hmm.
Um,
Can
how do
you
you
answer the question?
recharge? I can.
Oh,
Would you like
yes.
me to answer the
Yes,
question?
please.
Okay, what inspires me the most? I feel like everyone would know my answer, but nature inspires me the most just
Mhm.
because I feel like it's the only thing that's like not putting on a performance and it
Mhm.
just is, and just like from gardening, just being out there, you just learn a lot. A lot of the things that I've learned is just from observing nature and being in nature and just like handling
Mhm.
nature. So I feel like nature inspires me the most. It always has. I feel like it always will.
Right. Beautiful.
So how do you recharge?
How do I recharge? I definitely just don't do like anything except make sure I'm breathing, eating, and make sure I'm laughing, putting myself in situations where I can laugh. That's definitely how I recharge. Yeah.
I think that's a big one.
Mhm.
Laughter.
Mhm. What
Yeah.
about you?
How do I recharge? I recharge by immersing myself in the woods. Sometimes when I go to take walks, I go in as like a ticking time bomb. Sometimes depending on the
No.
day and like
Right.
by the time I come out of it, I'm just like totally detonated, like I'm just like there's just
Wow.
a different like there is no being angry or anything in
Yes.
nature, and it's not like, "Oh, I'm going out in nature, let me, like, fake it." It's like it literally just, like, disappears. So I recharge by, like, immersing myself in the woods, and also I love to just lay in the sun. Like, that's, like, one of my favorite things to do is just, like,
Mhm.
sit in the sun. Sometimes I feel like, I have a really bad habit of, like, taking on other people's energy. So, like,
Oh.
if someone's in a bad mood, I would kinda, like, take on that, and then, like, one
Oh.
thing I've started to do this summer was, um, if there's something, quote, unquote, "wrong" with me or if I'm feeling some type of way, I'll go sit in
Mhm.
the sun, and if it goes away, it wasn't really mine? Like,
Yes.
maybe you just needed to go sit in the sun.
Yeah, and honestly, and I don't want to like get too deep on that, but I just want to say that like, that even happens to me. But you know what? It's weird because it also happens with like movies. Like if I'm watching a K drama, but I feel very like emotionally uptight, I'll like go watch the K drama
Mhm.
and I'll realize that I was like kind of channeling that energy from the show. It's like weird. I hear
Um,
what you're saying though.
what do you want to leave this world with?
I definitely want my legacy to be that I was able to reach a lot of people, like millions of people, and uh, have community be with me up there too as my legacy. And I just want to be kind of
Mhm.
the pillar for, I guess, myself and be like, I was able to share this life that I've lived and
Mhm.
definitely be able to have caused a lot of great change in people's lives as well.
I
Hmm.
think that's a really good
Yeah.
legacy to have.
What about yours?
I think I definitely would like to have, Evergreen Organics up. there with my legacy because with that, like, one of my biggest dreams is just, like, growing food for people and have them
Yeah.
consume what I grow. I also would like to really would like to leave behind is that, like, you can be who you are and, like, do what you want, not in, like, a way where you're just, like, going crazy, but just, like, if you really just, like, know that you're destined for something that you can definitely do it despite,
Yeah.
like, what society is thinking at the time because I feel like for me, I think, really very so much different than society, and that's why I feel like I
Mhm.
challenge a lot of people, but, like,
Yeah.
I still stand on all 10, I don't really, like, let people try to change my beliefs because, like, I believe them
Mhm.
for a reason, and I know that they're not, like, beliefs that are, like, harmful, they're just, like, different than what was,
Yeah.
I also would just like to leave behind that, like, there's still people in this world that, are kind individuals
Yeah.
because I feel like and I wanna, like, do things that, like, enforce that because I talk to so many people who, um, are, like, pure individuals and they're feeling bad for being that way because of, like, the way the world is, and,
Mhm.
like, people, they kinda feel like they have to, like, be corrupt like everyone else in order to get what they want, or you know what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's just kinda, like, strange, and I just want people to know that, like, don't be typical and let the world turn you into, like, what the world is, like, remain
Mhm.
pure and just do something different.
Yeah. That's big advice.
What is a lesson you learned the hard way?
Mm. Oh, the lesson I learned the hard way would definitely be mm, what pops in my mind is just like with like romantic relationships. Um
Mhm.
the lesson I learned was, oh my god, I learned a lot of lessons within that, but definitely to sum it up, the hardest one was just the there's actually like things to do in a relationship to have a good one. Like that's what I learned. I
Okay.
thought that before it was just like, oh, if you love the person, that's like enough, but you actually like you need like communication, and then you need like kindness, then you need to forgive them, then you need to like, like there's
Mhm.
actual like steps and recipes and things to be and have and give um in a relationship. That's probably the hardest one of the hardest lessons.
For me, I think
Yeah.
a lesson that I've learned the hard way was so I'm naturally, like, a giver, and I will
Mhm.
probably give my last to, like, a complete stranger, like, I feel like
Mm.
everyone knows that about me, and a lesson
Mhm.
that I've learned the hard way is that, like, I felt like I was conditioning people to only be around me for that specific reason, to, like, benefit, but
Oh.
I felt like a lot of people in my life were not really, like, friends, but just, like, people there to, like, benefit, and so one thing I had to learn the hard way, I guess, is to be selfish without feeling bad about it because I really
Mhm.
did used to be in a phase of, like, "Oh, but what if" like, "What if
Mhm.
they don't like the fact that I'm, like, enforcing boundaries and caring about myself?" Like,
Right.
I actually used to have those thoughts in my head, and I just had to learn the hard way of, like, people continuously being around me and not being genuine in order for me
Mhm.
to be like, "Okay, yeah, I need to stop," like, being so
Mhm.
not kind to people, but, like, so quick to, like, jump for people and do anything for them.
100%. I had a friend, she's an Aquarius too, and she had a lot of like probably the exact same thing that you just mentioned. So I feel like, it's also part of a bigger thing um to
Mhm.
you guys as to why you went through that as well, right?
It's also, like, you have to know when to choose self,
Yeah.
like, over whatever else is happening or whoever else,
A
at the end of
100.
the day, like, you have to make
Mhm.
sure you're good.
Mhm. And
And
that's what I told my aqua friend, cuz one time she actually called me and she was like, "Oh, like I'm hanging around this person, but I found out that they talked bad about me, kind of like to somebody else, like just kind of like made a little comment." And I was like, you know what, you gotta like watch out, you just gotta know your back. Like that's what I had to tell her. And so
yeah,
you just gotta kind
definitely.
of be like, you don't have to be like brush it off and just continue, just be like, okay, like just take take that as something to just take. Like, don't just like kind of brush it. That type of, get
Yeah.
to know people
Yeah.
for who they are too, right? See who they are.
That too, because things used to, like, bother me and, like, I would just, like, kinda sweep it under the rug
Mhm.
just because I didn't want to, like, create conflict, and then
Mhm.
I was just like, "No, I think," 'cause, like, my biggest thing was, like, making people feel bad about themselves, but, like,
Right.
at the end of the day, I had to learn because I'm bringing something up and I'm not being malicious about it, if you internalize that and turn it into, like, me as like, I'm attacking you, then that's, like,
Yeah.
a problem that's, like, personal to you, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's time for people to, like, quote unquote feel bad about themselves because
Mm.
if things are happening and you're not comfortable with it, but you're not speaking up about it, then you're just gonna be, enraged on the inside, like, or you're just gonna be,
Yeah.
like, annoyed and, like, you're not communicating that part, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it goes both ways, definitely.
Mhm. Great lesson.
And my final question
Mhm.
is, what are you most thankful for?
Oh, I'm so thankful for life and just everything and every experience that I've gotten to live, and just like, life as a whole. I think that even talking to you today on your podcast is just making me realize, just I'm thankful for everything. Thankful for all of life and
Yeah,
all of its beautiful um experiences that unfold, and everything, all the things that are happening just to make even this possible.
exactly, yeah. I think I'm most thankful for life as well, but I'm also thankful for, like, growth and the opportunity to always evolve,
Hmm.
because when you look back in retrospect, you're just like, "Wow, I used to be in a completely different headspace,
Yeah.
a different environment, mentally, physically, spiritually, and I'm just, like,
Hmm.
not there anymore," and, like, I'm
Yeah.
always so thankful every time I look back. I'm always elevating, like, I'm not going
Hmm.
backwards, but I'm always going forward, and
Yes.
also just thankful for my mind because I'm really big on, like, you know, elevating not just myself, but, like, collectively,
Yeah.
like, I want how I feel sometimes for everybody, like,
Hmm.
I want a lot of more people to, like, be on that healing and, I just feel like the world will be in a much different place if we all just weren't, like, deceiving one another, but that's, like, in a perfect world, That's,
Yeah.
like, the utopia that lives in my head. I feel like that is possible, but we might not be here for it,
Hmm.
but while we're here, like, we should do all that we can so that we can move that in that direction.
Yes. 100%.
Definitely. Thank you, Kiara, for being on my show.
Mm.
You should let everyone know what you have going on right now and where they can find you so that they may follow you, touch base with you, maybe get in
Yeah.
touch with community.
Yes, yes. So you guys can check me out at on Instagram at community.tm. And you can also check me out on TikTok. It's crochet ACCS. And I just make my own creations there, and, just have some good time with the music.
Yeah, I think you guys should definitely check her out, both of her pages, because the messages on community.tm are very relevant,
Mhm.
and so is her creativity.
Thank you so much, David.
So,
Thank you
thank you
so
guys for
much.
listening. Thank you for being on my show,
Mm,
and we will be
my
back with
pleasure.
another one very soon.
Yes. Thank you.